Here we are at Room for Rent with Arianna Monahan. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Did I got your name right?
Didn't
I? Okay, cool. I know that sounds crazy, but we've never met before.
No, we have not.
So you're the first person that's been on Room for Rent that I've never met prior to. So what happened? I was supposed to have another guest on. They got sick. I was like, I could do a solo pod or I could try to find somebody. And a mutual friend of ours was like, hey, she's got this crazy story. You should have her on the pod. And here you are.
Here I am.
It all happened in like an hour and a half. It was great.
Truly, yeah.
Welcome. So you are a comedian.
I am.
What is there anything else you do that you want to mention on here, or just comedy?
I'm a comic. I'm manager of the Ice House as well, but that's
awesome.
Far less exciting.
No, it's cool. I haven't been. It just reopened for those of you that are watching that are not in LA. It was closed. There's a new owner.
Mm-hmm. Johnny Buss.
Yes, and if he's connected with the Lakers, if you don't know. And it's open now, and it's supposed to be really nice, like fancier than it was before. I haven't been.
We have 2 secret rooms, and they both look like they're out of The Great Gatsby. And if you come, I will show them to you.
Oh, wait, there's secret. I love a secret room.
One is like actually a secret for reasons, and then the other one is the VIP room. But
Wow.
It's so beautiful.
But they're not. Are they green rooms of the stages, or they're secret even from that?
There's 2. We have 2 separate green rooms for each stage, and then there's
Wow.
Great Gatsby VIP room, and then secret room.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I feel like they're not a secret now. You just said it on a podcast, but
Well.
you won't know. You won't be able to find them unless they
Yeah.
know you. So
There's like multiple codes and
that's
things.
crazy, because the smaller room, I used to do shows there, and there was no green room. Like you would just sit out in the bar. So okay,
Yeah,
I'm
green
gonna have
rooms
to
in the
come.
lobby now. It's nice. There's cabinets that are 30 feet in the air for no reason.
Oh my God. I literally live an hour from, I live by the beach. And so for me, I never go to Pasadena. And now I have about 10 new reasons to come.
Good.
You're about 5 of them.
Yay.
So that's exciting. How long have you been doing comedy? I can't believe we've never met.
I know,
It's
yeah.
just crazy.
I don't think so. Since I moved here, which I moved here in 2019, started doing comedy. I got kidnapped kind of for a year. And then came back and kept doing it.
Wait, you got kidnapped?
Kind of. I was a nanny, and then the family I worked for asked me. It was during the pandemic, and they had a house in Hawaii, and they were like, "We're gonna go to our Hawaii house for a while. You're coming with us." And I was like, "Am I now?"
What island?
Oahu.
Okay.
And I was like, because I do comedy here. Like, I don't want to be on for a super long time. And I know you guys have a private jet and all, so we don't have to buy tickets.
Oh my God.
But I'd like to know when I'll be back. And they were like, okay, like we'd never take you for more than 30 days. Like, could you do 30 days? And I was like, sure. Cut to 8.5 months later.
Oh my God. Was this in 2020?
It was either 2020 or 2020. Yeah, because I was there over Christmas. So it was 2020 into 2021.
Okay. So that was still like pretty deep pandemic times. Like,
Oh, yeah.
live comedy wasn't back yet. Like, things were locked all the way down.
Although, I might be wrong. It might be 2021 to 2022. Actually, that feels, I don't know. It's 2021
Clearly
and
you're not
2022.
still working for them.
Yeah, no, I don't work for them anymore, thankfully. I think I blocked it out.
But okay, that's crazy though. That's like a roommate situation. I mean, the family you were working for were your roommates. How many kids did they have?
Just one, and she was a joy. Like, she was just, I've nannied a bunch of kids, and I like, every 6 days, I'm like, I wonder how she is. Like, I miss that kid.
Aww.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad.
But they needed, what a strange time, right? Because they have money, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
They have one child, which is not, I was just with my friend who has 4 kids, and her youngest is 6 months and her oldest is 6.
No.
So she's had 4 kids in 6 years. That's insane.
Wow.
And what she accomplishes is amazing, but they have no nanny. She and her husband both work full-time jobs, and they do like basically real estate on the side, and they have 4 kids and no nanny.
Nope. As someone who's been a nanny for that long, I have 2 conditions of like people like my sister's married now, and so my parents keep asking me if I want kids. Bark up her tree, please, dear God. I want to be a weird aunt so bad. But they're like, do you want kids? And I'm like, I have 2 conditions. I either want a stay-at-home spouse, or I want to be able to afford a nanny. And call me whatever you want. I've been a nanny, and kids are a full-time job, so it's.
Well, yeah, and you're a working woman. Like, if you're a woman who does want to stay at home or wants to work part-time or, wants to do something that doesn't involve being out late at night or whatever, then you don't necessarily need a nanny.
Right.
But if you're doing what we're doing, I feel the same way.
I feel like if you're going to do it right, like properly, like, because kids really do. Until they're, I don't know, 8, you have to be within 3 feet of them at all times.
Oh, yeah.
Not just to keep them alive,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But that too. But just like I feel like to do a good job, like you need to be around the whole time.
When you've spent a lot of time around kids, so you would know. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
you're not making assumptions based on like, oh, you know.
Yeah, it's
How people
human
don't
or
have
it's
that.
iPad.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
How do you feel about the iPad thing with kids and all of that? I know this is off topic.
No,
but,
no, no. That's such a good question. So as
I have weird feelings about it, but I've also not been a nanny and I don't have kids.
yeah,
But we weren't raised on iPads, so.
no, definitely. And I'm never, as someone who's not a parent, I am never here to judge a parent. You parent your kid however the fuck you want to parent your kid. That's your business. As a nanny, it was always nice to have the iPad when it was like, oh, child, I'm in a waiting room. My arm is full of diapers. My other arm's full of child. It's screaming. I don't know what to do. I mean, there's 100 people in here and they're filming a podcast in the other room, so we needed to be quiet.
Yeah.
iPad.
Yeah.
But there's also like the kids get kind of dependent on it, and then they'll start, you know, when they get to a point where they're asking for the iPad over, you know, a parent or over, like that's like their comfort object. I'm like, I don't love that.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I notice sometimes when kids, you know, everybody's got anxiety now or whatever, which is a whole nother thing. But I see kids get anxious or like they can't sit at the dinner table, or I'm like, they're not going to be able to do that as an adult either. So they're either going to be on their phone or they're going to have their iPad with them, or they're not going to be able to sit at dinner with somebody because they were so used to being on it. Like even as a kid, if you went to dinner, you were like coloring.
Yeah.
It was still, it's a different, like you're using your brain.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
like,
You're doing something.
yeah,
You're like involved.
So I find when it's like when they have anxiety and you give it to them to calm their anxiety, I feel like that's not great. It's like go on a walk, or like,
yeah.
I love parents that walk around restaurants. Do you ever see parents with like newborns and they'll like walk around a restaurant because the kid's acting up? And I'm like, that's a good parent.
That's
like,
my favorite thing.
They didn't just like stick something in front of them or
Yeah.
whatever. I know it's being a parent's exhausting. Like clearly we're not doing it. So you lived in Hawaii with them, and did they like rent? They owned a house there?
They owned a house there. Oh my God, it was a beautiful house. Like again, it was the best kidnapping. Like they're the best kidnapping you could have asked for.
Yeah,
because they're like I think on paper they're some of the wealthiest people in the world.
Oh, nice.
So they had a gorgeous house. It was like, I think the view from my balcony was like, it was right next to this lookout that the government owned because so many people, it was like a state park basically.
Oh,
and then
okay.
it was
it wasn't White Sands, was it?
No,
Or-
it was called Diamond Head
yeah,
Lookout. And the literal like instant that Diamond Head Lookout ended, this state, I think it's a state park, something like that. It was their property.
Oh, wow.
Which meant that it was my view. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like such a little asshole being like, I was kidnapped, but
You were living like every influencer's dream. Like
yeah.
girls who are influencers on like the Alex Earl effect. You know, I'm sure you're.
No idea
You don't
who
know
that is.
Alex Earl? Oh my God, she's like this big. She's this big influencer, and right now she's in Europe having like a European summer with 11 of her best friends. She just graduated college. She's like 22.
Oh,
It's
God.
a whole.
That sounds amazing.
It's a whole. Yeah, but she's like the new hot it girl or whatever.
Must
But
be nice.
the way her life looks is the way you were describing being kidnapped in Hawaii by a rich
Yeah,
family.
exactly.
Like,
that's why I sound like an asshole.
Yeah.
People are like, I didn't eat today because I don't have any money, and I'm like, I
Have
they
a chef.
flew a chef in from Japan for Christmas.
Oh my
But I
God.
couldn't leave the house, so and then like me.
But it was COVID.
yeah,
Like
True.
so.
Like, where was I going
leaving,
anyway?
Yeah, leaving the house.
I was losing my mind. It's fine.
Were you really?
A little, yeah. And it's also annoying because comedy, like I had just feel like I had just hit like a stride where I was like, oh, and it's when I had truly just started where I was like, you know, when you're first doing like open mics and stuff and you're terrified every time and you're like, okay, like I need to know exactly what I'm going to say when I go up there. Someone couldn't just hand you a mic and like you'd be fine for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like I had just got to that point and then they were like, plane. And I was like, okay, a month.
And when you were over there, they wouldn't let you go. Like if you wanted to go be on a show or something, they wouldn't let
there's
you.
nothing there to do really.
There's a
looked
little
it up.
bit of stand up. I've done stand up in Hawaii before.
On the place I was, there was one on the island I was on. There was one stand-up comedy club, and it was inside of a hotel. But they were booking like bigger acts and that kind of thing, and I was like, I wasn't even at a point to A, be ready for that, but B, if I had told, I think the family that I was working for at the time, like, hey, I'm going to a comedy show, I'm going to a hotel, they were incredibly we were there because they were so COVID conscious. I feel like it would have been a non-starter. They would have been, they would have taken the car that it took me 6 months to get away.
So did you get in trouble? Like the way you're talking about some of this is like you would get in trouble by them. Did you?
No,
it's just how you felt.
They had a lot of like what's it called in a play, like an aside, where it's like a conversation. It's like where you're talking around the thing. It's like we could never tell you what to do, you know. But if you did leave the house, you would have to quarantine before you came back, type of that kind of stuff. And I was like,
so manipulative,
yeah,
that's toxic and wow.
Again, super the best family I've ever worked for, best nanny family I've ever had. Great.
Yeah, it's hard though. It's hard to work for people in their personal lives like that. Yeah. Like I knew somebody that worked for another person who's probably one of the richest people on paper, and they told me that they would these people would have parties, and their other rich friends who didn't get invited to the parties would literally fly their helicopters over the party, take aerial photos, and then text them to the person throwing the party and being like, how come you invited so-and-so but not us?
Oh my God. I thought I was crazy for double texting.
What do you mean double texting?
Like texting somebody and they don't reply and you text them again.
Oh, no.
I never busted out the helicopter.
No,
though.
Yeah. But like, I'm sure the people you work for probably know people that do that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And that's a whole nother level of wealth. Like to be like, get the helicopter over here. Like we got to see who's at this party. Like I would just go, I don't know.
It's bananas. So. That's another thing. I'm grateful. I absolutely got to see how the other half lives.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you any happier. I'll tell you that. I mean,
that I can understand. But what is your takeaway from it though? Like, would you want to be so wealthy you could have a $500 million yacht?
Fuck yeah. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to be rich as fuck.
Being unhappy doesn't make you not want to be rich.
Nope. Not for a second. I want to be rich and unhappy. I'm unhappy anyway. I might as well be rich.
Yeah. Did they give you good gifts and stuff? Don't tell me they didn't. Don't tell me they didn't. Don't tell me they're that kind of rich people.
It was.
They pay you well?
Oh, they paid me very well.
Okay, so you could at least buy your own nice gifts.
Yeah, I could buy my own. I didn't need them to give me gifts.
I mean, you have a very cool leather jacket on, so I believe that. It's awesome.
Thanks. No, I don't want to blow up their spot, but I was there for Christmas, and I did spend more money on their gift than they spent on mine, which is a shitty thing to know, to even be aware of. But again, like richest people in the world, and you're gonna. They paid me super well.
Yeah, that's good, but. I think
they gave me and I liked it. I enjoyed it. I am grateful to have it. For Christmas, they did give me like a bundle of sage and a stick of Palo Santo but it was re-gifted because I watched the father's sister give it to the daughter. And so it was just like somewhere in the house.
So they gave you shrubs?
They gave me shrubs.
And wood.
And wood and a book about shrubs and wood. Grateful.
That's what they gave you for Christmas?
And some incense, yeah.
That's what they gave you for Christmas?
Yeah.
You're telling me you work for some of the richest people in the world. And what did you get them?
I bought them because I was like, what do you buy people that have whatever, that have a plane?
Yeah.
I bought them and they were very, again, great people, environmentalists, like they cared about the environment. Like, so I bought them.
Which is why they gave you
it was right after the wildfire, whatever year the wildfires were. It was then.
That was pretty deep COVID.
It must have been.
I drove through some of them, so yeah, that's all. Yeah.
But I bought them. It was pay like a couple $100, and they planted like 100 trees, and then I did it in their name. Like I did it dedicated to the family.
Wow,
and
that's so thoughtful.
Yeah, because I was like, they don't need anything from me.
And they gave you dead shrubs.
And they gave me dead trees, and I got them trees.
What oh man, they didn't at least give you like a Gucci bag or something? No, were they vegan?
They didn't. They prefer. I was also the chef of the house because I was a professional chef for years.
Oh wow.
Which I really liked.
For me.
Yeah, I will.
You're amazing. I love this so far. Great podcast.
Thank you. I like to think I'm interesting at least.
For sure.
Yeah, they preferred to eat vegan stuff, but I loved it because I'm like trying to like categorize in my head. I'm like, what? How tight of an NDA did I sign? The mother's a model. I think all the moms I've worked for are models, so that's nothing.
Sounds right.
But she used to have me every now and again, and it truly delighted me because her husband didn't like it. He wanted like a healthier version, but she would have me make one day she pulled me aside and asked me, she was like, I've heard because I'm from the South. She's like, I heard about this meal that I don't know if it's like a thing. Have you ever heard of hamburger lasagna? And I was like hamburger helper? Like hamburger lasagna? Like that?
Uh-huh.
And she was like, yeah. She was like, can you make that? And I was like, absolutely. Are you kidding me? My best friend and I used to have that all the time as a kid. Me and my best friend Jada used to have contests of who could put the most hot sauce on our hamburger helper.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, fuck yeah, I can make that for you. And then I made it for them at least once a week after that.
Wow.
And it just delighted me.
It's so funny because it's like one of the first things you learn how to cook. Like if you...
Yeah.
I never ate it as a kid. And then I had a friend whose mom would never make it because she ate it so much as a kid that she was like, I'm not. That's
a shame.
That's for the poors. Like,
it is, but it's good.
And she wasn't rich. She was just like, it was such, whatever.
Yeah.
That's, wow. What an interesting, if I was working for a family that rich and they didn't get me like a YSL bag, I think I would be like, excuse me.
In the back of my head, I was like, I wonder, because I will be here now, 6-7 months in. I was like, I'll be here for Christmas. I wonder what it's going to be.
And it was trees.
It was trees.
It was literally trees. Wow.
I like them. I buy that brand of incense now myself because I like it so much.
Were they good? Were they like I have this thing. Okay. Long story short, I grew up like in a wealthy family, wealthier-ish, whatever, once upon a time. And we owned a lot in Hawaii and we never built on it. And then my parents ended up selling it, but it's like the nicest piece of property on the Big Island. And it's beautiful. The person who bought it built like a $30 million, like we were not going to build such a big house because it was a big lot and we wanted like green space and wanted it to feel more like Hawaiian and not so like gaudy and gross. And
Totally.
She was some tech person. She built a huge, like $30 million house. It's the nicest piece of property. I'll give you the address. You can look it up on Google Earth. It's beautiful. So she built this huge house. And then my dad and I were over there one time. We're like, let's just go visit. Let's just go get a tour of like this piece of property that we never built on, whatever. So she gave us a tour. And then I was like, you have you have almost a 360-degree view of the ocean.
Wow.
You're on one of the nicest black sand beaches in the world. You must go in the water all the time. And she was like, we would never go in the water. And it was her vacation home from her vacation home on Oahu.
Oh my God.
These people probably know her.
I'm sure they do.
Work for.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I like in that moment, and like I get some people don't go in the water because they don't want to kill the reef. This was before all of that shit. And I was so offended because she didn't even know how nice she had it. Like that house was like a posturing thing for her. It was like to show how much money she had. And I was like, I need to get out of here. I'm gonna hit somebody. Like I need to go. And that was the last time. Like I never went back in or anything. But that's what kills me about rich people is that they do shit for
just cause. These ones. That's the thing is like I've worked for a lot of rich people that did very much that. And this family that happened to have kidnapped me for a while, they were the best ones. Like they were, kind of disconnected from reality in a way that you can only expect from people that have very unchecked generational wealth. Great. Proud of them. Happy for you guys. You're very, again, the two best parents I've ever worked for. They're very good parents.
Oh, that's good.
But at least these ones, I feel like they used all the things that they bought and like did. It was just for them. Like it wasn't to show off because they didn't need to show off. Like they're very Googleable. Like we know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because you either have old money and old money, like you said, is like really disconnected, or you have new money where it's like so obnoxious. And if you can be somewhere in the middle, like my dad belonged to a golf club because he liked to play golf, but we were not like country club people or anything like that. And I'm so grateful because if I was the kind of person that like needed to belong to a country club, I would kill myself.
I feel that.
Like it's not, but I didn't grow up that well. Like I had enough money to own a horse. That was about it.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. No,
did
but
you,
I mean,
wait, did
but
you have
those
a horse?
people probably have a barn.
You had a horse. What was your horse's name?
I had a couple.
Oh.
I did. I have a bit about it that I'm working on, but I had a quarter horse. My first quarter horse, his name was Big. Nice. And my parents got him for me on Christmas Eve. Like they had, I grew up in Oregon, like out in the country. And so they built a barn on our property and they finished it, and then they bought a horse from a friend of ours. And I had like had a couple of riding lessons, but I was like in it, but I wasn't like in it. And they just did it. And I was pretty young. Like they wouldn't have asked me if I wanted a horse. They just did it. And so they were like, let's go out to the barn. Like, it's Christmas Eve. Let's go like just check it out. And I was like, I don't know. It's dark. It's cold. It's raining. No. I don't want to walk down the driveway. Like our driveway was a quarter of a mile long. Like it wasn't just like going out there. And they're like, no, come on. And we get out there and there's this like horse standing out there and like, this is your horse. And I was like, what? Like, wait, as a kid, you're almost offended because I don't like surprises. And so when I feel like somebody's like pulled one over on me, I'm like, I don't want this. Like, why would you do that? Like, you didn't even ask me. And so that was the first one. And then I got really into it and I did all the hunter jumper stuff. And so you end up
me so much. I used to work with horses for a TV show that I worked on, and I was in charge of the horses.
What TV show?
I don't know if it's come out. I think the NDA is a little tighter on that one, but it was horses in Alabama. And
it had nothing to do with Yellowstone.
No, nothing to do with Yellowstone. No. But I think they sold it. So I'm like, I don't know who owns that now.
Okay.
But
that's cool.
Yeah.
Horses are the best.
They scare. I was like, oh my God, like beautiful, like majestic horses. Like I was like, I liked them as a kid. I thought they were neat. And then I got up to them and I was like, they're gonna break my toes. They're gonna step on.
No, they're the best.
I don't want to be in there.
If they step on your toe, it doesn't hurt.
Well, these ones were wild Mustangs that teenage boys had trained.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
my dad
like, all right, like get in there and go make sure the horses are okay. Like,
yeah.
I was like, okay, great.
My dad wanted to buy a wild Mustang for a while. He's like, let's go, because there's different places where they do these like runs.
Yeah, and they like helicopter them into like an area. Yeah.
And he's like, let's get one of those and see if we can train it. And I was like, we can't train the ones that we have. So so when I got really into it at the time, this sounds crazy, but at the time in 2002, so it was after 9/11 but before the housing market crashed, it was cheaper to go buy a horse in Europe and fly it over for like the level of horse that I needed,
as we're all aware, obviously.
Obviously very relatable content, than it was to like buy one here. And so my horse trainer and my dad and I like flew to Amsterdam and got a horse.
I thought that was so much fun.
And she was this big white mare. She was like 17 hands. She was huge. And she was I wish I had like an easy picture to pull up, but
I'm picturing the never ending story. Like,
she was the best horse. Like she was really safe. Aww. She would like jump every time. She was just perfect. Like she was not a pain in the ass on any. She was the best horse. We bred her and she had 2 babies that were shitty, and because that's usually how that goes. And I had a couple other horses after that. Like you would get them and sell them, or they would retire or whatever, and then you get another one. But that's what I grew up doing.
That's really cool. I grew up playing in the creek mostly.
Yeah, I mean I did that too. Like that's the thing is out here people are like,
kid, you don't know what you're doing is like so long as you're having fun, you're like, you could be smashing gold bars into each other. And you're
I had no idea. Like I knew it was expensive because my other friends didn't do it, like my school friends, but I had no idea how much it really cost until I was older. And I was like, oh, you love me is what you're like you sacrificed a lot so that I could have it. So I'm very grateful, but I love animals. Like if you're an animal person, like horses are so easy to love. No? Are you a cat person?
Fuck no. I fucking hate cats. Good. My sister used to throw her cat at me when we were little. I still have a cat. There's a cat claw embedded in my chest.
Throw her cat at you? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not nice.
No. And she was like, I love cats. Like to this day, like she's a cat person. She like calls her. She has no kids because her cats are her babies. And I'm like, you literally yeeted that little bastard at me 30 times as a kid.
Oh. I had outdoor cats. I don't like the indoor cat thing.
Our indoor cats all became outdoor cats because they like bit my dad once, and he was like, "And out you go."
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of the cats that came back were still our cats.
Do the people that you worked for, that you went to Hawaii with, did they have horses or anything like crazy like that?
Their daughter liked. It was really sweet. We used to go around and just like pick berries and fruit and stuff all day, and that's like she was super into like nature. They did they did a good job on that kiddo, and so did I. But
how old is she now?
She's got to be 5 now, but she was 3 at the time.
Oh, okay. Little.
Yeah. Tiny. Yeah. I potty trained her.
Oh.
It was gross.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But she liked fruits and plants and that kind of thing. And they're like, oh, like, great. And then they just had an orchard built on their property. Like a whole, and a chicken coop and all that. And like, it was great. Like, she loved it.
Do they live here?
Yeah. They have a house here and they have a house. I think they're still in Hawaii, actually.
So they built an orchard here?
Here. Yeah.
In Los Angeles?
Mm-hmm.
In like what, Bel Air or something? Like they have some orchard?
It's 90210.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Beverly Hills.
There's an orchard in Beverly. That's crazy.
There's an orchard in Beverly Hills.
Just gonna start driving around.
There's so many gates. Actually,
Sure.
I still have one of their. I'm sure it's deactivated, but I still have one of their gate keys.
Yeah. It's the security to get those jobs like you've had and like other people that I know been personal assistants and stuff. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The phone,
really
the phones, like, did you have like a separate phone and all that?
Not for this one. No.
Oh, okay.
I just had my phone.
Because I know somebody that was she was a personal assistant. She had like a work phone and it was they would track, like if you took a picture of something on your work phone, like sent it to a personal person, like they knew.
So the family that I worked for after this family, because they stayed in Hawaii and I was like, please, dear God, send me home.
So did you just quit and then leave?
Kinda, yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Okay.
The family I worked for after them, I had a work phone for them, and then oh my God, that the only rule in the house was that I wasn't allowed to say no to the child, and she was 3 also, but she knew that the only rule in the house was that nobody was allowed to say no to her. Like if she was frowning, everyone was in trouble.
New age parenting thing.
I don't know what it was, but it was that poor. I feel she's gonna have anxiety. But I had a work phone for them, and I also ended up leaving that job, but it was right after I got the work phone because I felt bad. I was like, I was trained in like, childcare and developmental things, and I was what was it called? What's the word? An occupational therapist, like a pediatric occupational therapist.
Sure.
I wasn't one, but a family that I worked for before both of these needed one. Rather than getting one, they had me trained as one.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, the things that they're doing to this, like, I don't want to be here anymore because I'm not allowed to not harm this kid. So I'm going to leave. But it was like 3 days after I got the work phone, went to the pool, and it was the newest iPod or iPhone or whatever, great camera, went to the pool with my friend at the time, took, I don't know, approximately 800 bikini photos because we looked awesome in that 4K. And I don't think I ever took them off the phone when I handed it back in. So I'm pretty sure it's just like, it's like 4 pics of the kid from like the day of, and then 800 pictures of me in a bikini.
But I bet they just wiped it. Like they probably didn't even look at it. They probably
it was like an assistant.
Yeah.
Like it would have never made it up the chain of command to like mom and dad. So I'm not worried about it. But also,
such a funny.
You're welcome.
It's such a different. It's such a strange.
Yeah.
Like there's a part of me that wants a job like that just to see things.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that I got to see.
Yeah.
It's a whole new world.
So then after that job, is that then when you went to the ice house?
I did those 2, and then actually, what did I do in between? I did personal chefing again for a while, and then I worked at TMZ.
Oh wow!
I was a researcher for TMZ, which
the full like circle
truly.
From like NDAs to you were a researcher. Okay,
yeah.
So you weren't like running up to people at LAX being like,
no, that was my friend Mel, who was very good at her job.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
How long were you at TMZ?
8.5 months, almost as long as I was in Hawaii.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. And I mean, was it fun?
Yeah, it was super fun. It was some of the things I'm just not like, I don't care to know as much about everything as I did at the time. Like truly any iota of news, celebrity or otherwise, that came out the entire time I worked there, it was my job to know and like to be like flagging this, like let me send it to Harvey, this is important, we should write this, like that kind of thing. But it was just such an overload of information. Like I truly, anytime, and it was great for bits, because anytime anyone on stage was like, have y'all heard about Brittany Griner? I was like, I can tell you everything about Brittany Griner. I know what she did today.
Oh
like,
my gosh. That's how I felt. I worked at Nike for 5 years, and that's how I felt about working there, because you have to know so much. It's like drinking the Kool-Aid. And
yeah. Oh, 100%.
I was like, I have useless information about things that don't matter.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. Yeah. No, but it was a great company, and like actually like working there is great. They feed you every day. Harvey's super nice. I will say like Harvey Levin is gotta be one of, if not the hardest working men in Hollywood. Like he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, is the first person in the building and the last person out every day.
Do you think TMZ has integrity?
Yeah.
Really?
The number of stories that came, because if you emailed the tip line or if people sent in like tips and stuff, I don't know. Again, NDAs. I should read. I didn't read it, but I signed it probably. All of those kind of things came straight to me, or they came to me, and the number of things that he passed on because he was like, that's dirty. Like, we don't want to do that to that person, that kind of thing. Or he would call the celebrity or the publicist of who it was about. And the number of times, too, that I saw him buy something, like a video or something would come in that was truly scandalous, and he would buy it, call the person who was in the video and be like, hey, I'm sitting on this. You owe me one.
Oh,
like that kind of thing. And I was like.
So he would protect people, like if he thought it was.
Yeah, like too much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow, that's interesting. I would have never.
He
doesn't come off like publicly like the way people talk about him and talk about TMZ. He doesn't
have the time to know how he comes across publicly. That man is always like so laser focused.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's so interesting.
What is the utmost respect for that guy?
Another strange world, but. Very. What do you know? Yeah, we won't get into it. I'm getting too far off topic. I don't even start. So the reason those were all fantastic stories so far, by the way. If you're watching, like, this is only going to get better.
Maybe.
The reason that I wanted to have you on, not just because I needed a guest today, but also you said you had a really crazy story that involved fire and maybe some arson or something.
A little bit of arson.
So tell me, was this before all your nannying and all this happened? Okay, so take us back.
This was back in Atlanta, which I'm from Atlanta. Hi.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you where in the South you were from.
It was in between. I went to 2 different colleges. I went to a UGA, and then I left, traveled for like 2 years, and then did a year of this film, music and entertainment business program at this other college. And in between those, I lived in Atlanta, and I was a leasing agent, like a leasing consultant. I sold apartments. And I ended up moving into some of those apartments myself with a friend of a friend who I didn't really know. And
which is normal. Like, my last roommate was a friend of a friend of a friend, and it was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Great situation.
Exactly. Well, you would think.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, I think it was move-in day, and we like met up and like had lunch and stuff, and like, all right, like, we're not gonna kill each other. This would be great. And I realized that I did know her, and we went to the same high school. And on my very first day of high school, I was in 9th grade with my little dumb backpack on, late to class because of who I am as a person on day one. And I was walking down the hallway, and I saw this girl with another girl's head in her hand, beating her head into a water fountain.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just like absolutely bashing her skull on the edge of a water fountain. And I was like, ooh, and back, like, okay. That was like the first thing that I saw in high school.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. It was within like 45 seconds of arriving to the school. I saw this, and I was like, great, that's a good sign. Wow. Cut to, 6 years later, the girl that was holding the head is who I moved in with.
And you didn't know?
I didn't know until I was on the lease.
How did you find out?
I just, I don't remember. I guess we were like talking. Like,
this girl looks familiar. I know I've seen her bashing somebody's head in.
No, yeah, really, yeah. No, I think what happened is I was probably, because we went to the same high school, so I think we were probably trying to connect and, talking about school, and I'm certain that I told her that story, and she was like, that was me.
Did she admit to you that it was her?
Oh yeah, full on. She was like, that girl used to be mean to me, so it wasn't gonna happen in high school. Like, but I was like, oh, please do the dishes.
So when to go back to high school, when you saw that happening, you just turned around and walked away. Like, do you know if the other girl was okay? Like,
No, I have no idea.
Did the girl get arrested? Or that's like a major assault.
Nah, it's fine. I went to my middle school and all that was in, I don't know if you're still allowed to say ghetto, but they were in the ghetto. And my first like 3 days of middle school were canceled because there was a gang fight in the parking lot. So like it wasn't the last thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah. So you just get suspended if you bash somebody's head on the.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, go down a different hallway is the outcome.
Okay, so you find that out. You move in with her. You found it out after you moved in with her.
Yes.
And then how were you scared? Were you like, okay, this girl definitely like can flip a switch at any moment? Like people don't change.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I was scared of her because I think I could take her. I wouldn't say I was scared of her, but I was definitely like, oh, like noted. She's actually crazy. And then one day she used to steal stuff from me. Like I would come into my closet one day, would just be like all over my bed. And like, there's this one dress that's still missing that I'm still upset about. It looked amazing on me. And I came in one day and she like my closet was everywhere. She had like thrown I had a Wii. She had thrown that on the ground. Like just everything was all
So she would
fucked.
just like rifle through your stuff and not even like try to hide it?
Yeah. And I got a restraining order against her because my door was locked. She'd like kicked
While
it in.
you were living with her?
Yeah. It was
How
great.
do you have a restraining order against somebody you live with?
Very carefully. It was I got a temporary restraining order, and then which was only I can't remember for how long those actually work. And then we went to court, and that's basically what the judge said. She was like, "You live together?" And you were like, "Yeah."
So
and
what was the restraining order? Just that she couldn't go in your room?
It was a regular restraining order. It was like so however many feet away from one another. Which after the incident, I went and lived with my brothers.
Okay.
And so that like it wasn't. She had just had the apartment.
After the restraining order was issued, you moved out? Okay.
Yeah. Like it was like in tandem.
Yeah. Okay.
But when I actually moved out, it was all in one day. Like, and I wasn't even there. Like my dad went and he had a trailer, like a flatbed, and just took everything that I owned, piled it all up, and put like 2 bungee cords across every piece of everything I owned.
Wow.
And just drove it home.
So after that, after she went through your stuff, and then you got the restraining order, did anything else happen in between there that was like made you just be like, I can't be here?
Yeah. It was all the inciting incident, if you will, was she set the kitchen on fire.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And so I worked for the apartment complex. And so
she should have known not to fuck with you.
Well, here's why she did. Is because I worked for the apartment complex, employees only got a discount on the rent. However, that meant that she wasn't on the lease. I was the only one on the lease so that we would both get a discount on the rent.
Okay.
Like from the total. And she found that out. And in her mind, that was, I should light this place on fire. I can destroy it because I'm not liable for any of these things.
But did she just want to light it on fire because she was mad at you? Or did she think she was going to get money from insurance? Or
No, I think I think she lit it on fire because she's stupid.
Oh. I'm like, where's the motive?
Yeah. No, I think she's just dumb. I think I realistically think that it was an accident. And then afterwards she was like I did it because fuck you. And I was like,
oh, wow.
I think you're dumb.
So how did it catch fire?
She was making French fries, like frozen bag of French fries, and I guess had never done it before. And
Great.
So her way of doing that was like, oh, like I've seen deep fryers before, so deep fry them. She
this was clearly before air fryers got popular.
Oh yeah, totally. We couldn't have afforded an air fryer, don't worry. But she took a pot, like a saucepan, filled it to the rim all the way with oil, and then put it on the highest heat.
Oh no.
And then was like, let it just sit there and get hot as fuck because it wasn't boiling. And I was like, you don't She's like, there's no bubbles. Like I need to keep it on. And then filled it at some point in it being ridiculously hot and filled to the brim with oil, which oil, I don't know if you know, is flammable. It catches fire.
Yeah.
And poured a bunch of like frost-covered frozen French fries into the boiling oil, and it just burst into flame. like all over the counter, like just puddles of fire. And also lit
you home
the cabinets. I was upstairs asleep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and like lit all of our cabinets on fire from the stove. And then she picked it up. I wanted to say I hope to move it, to the sink. But like if you put water on an oil fire, that is more fire. Because it pops and it's just like, and so she poured boiling oil, which was lit, all across all of the countertops into the sink, turned on the water, and then lit all of these cabinets on fire too.
And didn't think to get a fire extinguisher, call 911, yell for help.
She was like, I'll put water on it.
Did she think she was going to hide this from you somehow? Like, did she think she's going to catch the whole kitchen on fire, pour out the oil, and then be like, no, it's fine, it's fine?
Yeah, one can only assume. I should find pictures of it because, oh my God. It was like the shitty linoleum fucking laminate countertops all across what wasn't completely.
It probably just melted.
Yeah, what wasn't completely burned away was just like black bubbles. Like it was horrific. And then finally didn't know how to put out a grease fire. Fair play to her, I guess. Came upstairs and kicked my door in because it was locked, as she had done many times before to rob me. Like donkey kicked the door in, and she just goes, "Kitchen's on fire," and walks away. Like all like meh.
Psychotic.
Yeah.
Psychotic.
Yeah. So I went down, and thankfully we had a box of baking soda under the which baking soda is how you put out a grease fire.
Okay, good to know. I actually didn't know that.
There you go.
Good to know. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, just ripped open the thing and like put it out, and it was fine. But it wasn't fine because everything was on fire and burnt, and we had to call. She called 911 actually before she came and got me. I truly, I guess
sure
she did think
just
she was
called and
hide
went,
it.
"There's a fire here," and hung up. Like
I would love.
I
would really love. To hear
we
the
need
tape.
help over here.
Yeah.
Where are you? Does
help.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Probably was annoyed.
Yeah, annoyed with the 911 operator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, ugh. But yeah, the firefighters showed up, and the fire was already out, but the place was like filled with black smoke and all this. And then the thing that I remember is that the firefighters went upstairs to like open all the windows to like air the place out, and I had a glass bong sitting in my windowsill because of I was 20 or something. No, I must have been younger. Anyway. And I went back upstairs after the whole ordeal, and one of the firefighters had stomped on it, like had like put it on the ground and like crushed it with their boot, and I just had my like shattered remains of bong. I was
Why would they do that? Just because weed was illegal?
I guess. And I guess that was their like, we're not gonna arrest you, but like, yeah, gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was that. And then I still, to this day, I have collections for that apartment complex because I'm like, I refuse to pay for that. I will not. And they've since knocked it down. Like a year after all this happened, they knocked the entire apartment complex down and turned it into a parking lot. And I was like, I'm not paying you for counters that don't exist.
Yeah, but didn't you have insurance?
Nah.
You didn't have renter's insurance?
No. They didn't make me because I worked there.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know.
At all.
Nope.
Because if you have renter's insurance, I mean, it covers like usually like $100,000 worth of damage or whatever.
Would have been nice.
Yeah, it would have been. So, okay, so she lit the kitchen on fire. I'm assuming you had to move out of that unit after that happened.
Yeah.
And is that when your dad came and got all your stuff, or you? Because
it was a while after that, actually. Like she
so
burned
you guys are
down the
living in
kitchen.
a kitchen that had been burned down, and you're just continuing living there with a girl you have a restraining order against.
Yeah.
What a scenario.
What a scenario, indeed. Yeah, we just tried to avoid each other at all times. And because of her, to this day, I can't watch the movie Norbit because she had, I mean, I can, but she had it on a television in her room, and there was the DVD was stuck in it. And to annoy me, whenever she wasn't home, because we left our doors locked, obviously, she had Norbit on 100% of the time. And then when she was home, the sound would be off. But if she wasn't home, Norbit was just playing full volume in the entire upstairs of my apartment.
Psychotic.
Yeah, it was great.
I wouldn't last a single day with this person. Like, I've had some questionable roommates, but like I had a girl. It's funny that the kitchen on fire thing, because I lived with two girls in Santa Monica, and the girl that was the least, she was cool, and like I met with her, and at the time, she said that me and this other girl would be moving in. It was like 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, like $1,000 a month in Santa Monica. It was insane.
That's nice.
And so the other girl that moved in the same time I did worked for Laura Ingram's website.
Oh boy.
So you already know it's psychotic.
Yeah.
And this was before Trump. Like, this is Jeb Bush, I think, was running for president at the time. So, and she was crazy, and she would sleep. Her room had a balcony. She would sleep on like a Target futon on the balcony.
Okay.
And she would come out and she'd be like, oh, I was just sleeping on the balcony. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I sleep on the balcony. It's so nice out there. I'm like, you have a bed. You have a bed and a bath. You had a whole room to yourself. She's like, I just like sleeping on the bath. It's so weird.
That's big pick me girl energy.
Is it?
Like, I'm so quirky. Sleep outside.
Yeah, but she was like unattractive and like always on some weird binge diet. So the next thing she would do is she went on the cabbage soup diet.
I can't believe that's a thing. That's gonna stink.
And I didn't know what I had never lived or done that or anything, and so I had a crock pot that was there.
Not anymore.
So she made cabbage soup in the crock pot. And the one time the three of us went out together, like drinking or whatever, she came and she was making that soup and she left it on all night. And she didn't come home that night, and we didn't know she was making it. Like we had no idea. This girl, this was before everybody was buying stuff on Amazon. She would have a new package at the door every day. It would be like a guitar, rollerblades, shit from China, like crazy shit that didn't make any sense.
She sounds psychotic.
Insane. But not like malicious, just independently insane.
Yeah.
And so she left the crock pot on all night. I get up the next morning to get ready to go to work, and I like walk through the kitchen. I'm like, I didn't make food that morning. I was like, it smells kind of weird, but like then again, we don't really use the living room, and it's just weird, whatever.
Yeah.
I leave. I come back a few hours later. She's in the kitchen. She has like 2nd-degree burns all over her thighs.
Oh my God.
And I was like, are you okay? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And I was like, what's going on in here? And she was like, well, I was making cabbage soup because I'm going on the cabbage soup diet. And I forgot I left the crock pot on all night. So this morning when I woke up, I wanted to try it. So she lifts up, crock pot, there's the case that it sits in, and then there's the ceramic pot, right?
Yeah.
She lifted that up to like drink out of it. She's so stupid. It's like, it's beside me.
1,000 degrees.
Yeah. Sips it. Obviously the whole thing is scalding hot.
Yeah.
Realizes how hot it is, probably dropped it or something or whatever, spilled it all over herself, all over the kitchen. There was like splashed cabbage soup everywhere. Everywhere. But it was all of her. She probably still has scars from cabbage soup. Like she didn't turn it off. She didn't wait for it to cool down. She's probably on drugs. Because one time she was like, yeah, I found a huge bag of cocaine in my purse the other day. I was like, you just found a bag of cocaine in your purse? She was like, yeah, I just found I think my friend like left it in there or something, or her uncle, or I don't know, something. And I was like, so what'd you do with it? Because if I found I'm not a drug person. If I found cocaine in my bag, I'd be like, like I would like throw it out the window. Like 100%. I wouldn't, this is not mine.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. And at the time I was even more probably naive. And I was like, so what did you just like flush down the toilet, whatever, take it to the police station? Like, I don't know.
I don't know about that. But yeah.
And she was like, no, I just did it. And I was like, and she was describing that it was a huge bag of cocaine. I was like, what do you mean? Of it? And she's like, I just did the cocaine. And I was like, did you do all of it? She's like, I just did all the cocaine. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. I'll see you later. Like, I didn't know what to do with that information because I'm living with this person. She didn't light the kitchen on fire, but it was close.
My roommate didn't do a sack of cocaine.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, maybe she did. You just don't know. Like, she's kicking down doors. She's doing cocaine for sure. But that's, oh my God, she's so crazy. Do you have any idea where she is now? Like,
no. And
you don't keep up with her at all?
And I don't hold a grudge, but I'm like, if there's any one person that like I saw, I would not like to be in an elevator with her.
No. And would she recognize you now?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen? Do you think she would just be like,
honestly, I don't know. My first thought is like, I hope there's not a water fountain anywhere nearby.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think she's a pretty violent gal. So I feel like there would be, honestly, like realistically, I think we'd get in a fight.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I hate to say that because like I'm an adult. I don't fight people, but
yeah, I don't like drama either, but
I hate drama. This is why I envy guys. I would so rather if somebody has a problem with me, come up, tell me what the problem is, and then punch me as hard as you can in the face and then leave it alone. I'll buy you a drink later.
No, I don't want to be punched.
Oh, I would so rather that.
I would love for I always tell people this, like, if you have a problem with me and you want me to know about it, come and tell me. Like, if you don't want me to know about it, then don't act like anything is wrong.
Exactly.
But don't, like, I'm sure you've had like friends or girlfriends or like women in comedy are strange, but like where they just like quit talking to you.
Or like there's like rumors,
things.
like people talk behind. That's my biggest thing is I'm like,
Yeah.
please don't talk behind my back. If you have something to say to me, please, dear God, say it to me.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I always tell people, I'm always like, you know, if I'm saying something about somebody like behind their back, chances are I would say to their face. We're the same.
It's not even, and that's the thing too, is I'm like, it's not even something it's not like I would say this to their face. Like if I say something about you behind your back, I have said it to your face before.
Yeah. Or I would, or I'm planning on it.
Exactly. This is the practice round.
The trouble is that people don't want to hear it about themselves. Like what's funny to me is like growing up, people would start rumors about my family, whatever, at school. Like there was a time in middle school, I was telling somebody this story the other day. I had a lower locker and I literally went to the office and just asked for an upper locker because I was taller than most of the girls. So I was like, I just don't want to get on my knees every day. Now I'm just kidding.
Like not twice a day.
And so I switched and everybody for some reason knew about it. And they're like, oh, Maria bought an upper locker. And I was like, dude, you guys can go ask the old lady in the office.
Yeah.
Not every locker's taken. You can have whatever locker you want. You just ask them which one's available. They pull up the sheet. They show you what it is.
Plus, you're tall, too. So it's like, what do you
Yeah. But
like,
the other, it's just like, if you're going to say it doesn't, like, people have said the worst things to me on the internet and in person or whatever. It stings a little, but you don't.
Yeah, but I'm like, honestly, I respect you for saying it to me. Like, okay, great.
I'd rather somebody come up and say something really mean to my face. Like, I'd rather right now you tell me that I'm an ugly bitch than do roast battle.
Yeah, honestly.
Isn't that funny? Like,
no, I feel that.
I don't know. I did Comic Wars, and I was like,
Who'd you roast?
Channing Apodaca. Do you know Channing?
I do. Yeah.
We had like kind of just become friends, and he was, I think, looking for somebody he thought he could beat, and I didn't really want to do it. And he went hard, and I didn't know that much about him.
That's hard.
I thought he was like, I didn't know him very well at the time, so I thought he was like a little boring. And I was like, I don't know, like you're kind of like this. There's nothing really there. Like as I got to know him better, it was more interesting. But I think he did that on purpose. Like, we met up, and I was like, so tell me about yourself. And he's like, I was like, I see the strategy here. But it was before Comic Wars was at the Improv. It was when it was in Sylmar still.
Yeah, in the yard.
Yeah, it was still like COVID times, but
maybe we have met then.
If we did, it was probably in
for
passing.
Sure. Yeah,
because then I don't see you around. Do you go to open mics and stuff?
Yeah. Well, I got bangs recently because I can't fix my personality. So
I mean, I think your personality is doing fine. I think it's other people who
I'm just telling people to fight me.
No. Nobody. I'm sure nobody wants to fight you. Yeah.
God, I hope not. Yeah. I don't know. That's my like biggest. My two things. I say this a lot, and this is honestly a little embarrassing to say on a podcast, but I say it to anyone that has like any kind of interpersonal relationship with me pretty early on, is that the two things that are like very important to me in like friendships or any kind of relationship is respect and honesty. And I feel like if that's all I require out of people, really. I'm like, I feel like if you're respectful to me and, you know, for example, not talking behind my back, like if you have something to say, you come and say it to me rather than speaking to other people about me when I'm not in the room. That's, I think, is respectful. And if you're honest, that's it. That's all you got to be. You can be.
And I think people, like, everybody slips up from time to time where you say something and then maybe somebody finds out and then they want to talk to you about it or whatever. Or if there's people who've said stuff about me behind my back and I know they have, I'm probably not going to address them about it. But I'm also then, if I'm not going to talk to them about it, I'm not going to treat them differently either. Right. Like, I'm going to be like, oh, I know what she said about me. So I'm going to be like, I don't.
And it's like, if this person's really important enough for me to, if they're important enough in your life already for you to bring it up and be like, hey, like I've brought people that don't like me, like a girl, cheated years ago, made out with my boyfriend. She made out with my boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
I took her to lunch and I was like, listen, this is what happened. And I'd known her for 12 years, I think. And I was like, hey, this is what happened. And that's not how that's not
and
okay.
What
I'm
did
not
she
okay
say?
with that. She was petrified. She was like, I don't think she'd ever like had that adult of a conversation or had someone approach her in a not like a schoolyard bully way, and just truly didn't know how to handle it.
Was she like, I'm sorry, it'll never happen again?
She was like, oh my God. She was like, I can't. She was embarrassed. She was like, I really can't even believe that I did that. And I was like, okay, just so you know, this is probably the last conversation we're ever going to have. Yeah. But I wanted to, let you know why.
Did you stay with the guy?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it was all over. And then you were like, hey, by the way, don't do that to people.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I was like, hey, like we're not friends anymore, but just going for it as a human being.
Yeah.
Fucking stop that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
sorry,
I just don't.
say fuck a lot.
I people are weird the way they deal with conflict. Like, some people think they're really good at it and really confrontational, and then something happens, and you're like, you're actually really not good at that. And then some people just disappear. Some people make it a bit like, I remember I worked with a girl who would literally go around bragging about like all the guys that she was hooking up with. And like some of them were celebrities and some of them like it's LA, like whatever. Yeah. And then I think I made a joke about it one day, not in like a mean way, but it was like, hey, have you hooked up with so-and-so lately? And she got all mad at me. And I was probably like not even making fun of her. I was probably just like thought it was cool or like wanted to know what the scoop was because we were all friends. And she got all mad at me, like blew up at me. She was pissed. And I was kind of like, okay, well, whatever. Like if you don't like me, we don't have to be friends or whatever. Right. And then I was at a smoothie place and I came out and she was waiting outside for me because it was near where we worked. And she was like, I just want to talk to you about, you know. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you haven't apologized or anything. And I was like, well, I don't know what I've done wrong. Like, we were friends. You've been making jokes about this. Like, then all of a sudden one day you decide it's not cool. And she was still so mad, like seeing red so mad. I was like, look, we don't have to be friends. Yeah. If this is too much for you, we don't have to be friends. And when you tell somebody that, they don't know what to do. Yeah. At all.
I think a lot of people are used to, or they operate in a way under the assumption of like, taking away my friendship is the most powerful move I could make. Like I could just
like access to me. Yeah, it's like
access to me. And I'm like, I don't like, okay. Yeah. If that's the thing that you're taking, fucking keep it.
Yeah. Have you ever had this is the last thing and we'll sign off from here, but have you ever had people block you on Instagram but then still look at your account on like their burner? Like they blocked you, not you blocked them and then you look at them on your burner or whatever. They blocked you and then all of a sudden you're like, why is this thing looking at my story every day or whatever?
I'm like, why are all these?
Don't block me. Like we cannot be friends and you can still look at my shit. I don't really care. Like it doesn't, I don't know what you're proving to yourself by acting that way. Like just don't look or follow and look, or I don't like
100%. The number of people that
have blocked you
the number of people whose dogs fucking LA Instagrams look at my story all the time and I'm like, why are these like what is this? And then I'll like look and I'm like, oh, it's that girl, or like, oh yeah, like also I realized I didn't know how to block people. I'm not a petty. I'm like, I can't be petty on the internet. I'll be petty to you in person, but I'll tell you that that's what I'm doing. Yeah. But I like didn't know how to block people. I didn't know how to unblock people. I didn't know how to tell if I was blocked. This girl that I knew,
those like third-party apps or whatever.
Yeah, she was like super like. I also used to live with her. She was super like Instagram was like very important to her, and she always knew like every person that looked at all of her stories and every person that ever blocked her said this or this comment, or she'll text me to this day and be like, I need you to comment on this. I'm like, you got it, babe, whatever. But she was asking about some. I gave her my phone one day and she was like, do you know this person blocked you and this person? I'm like, I don't know who those people are. Like I just
No, I don't.
To have drama over the internet is
I mean, I remember when those third-party apps were popular and people would get it to like see who unfollowed you and stuff. And it's not. Who has the time? I don't know. Time? If you're that worried, I don't know. You should probably be in therapy.
Outside.
Yeah.
If you have a third-party app for your Instagram, go for a walk. Go outside.
Write a joke. Dude, get an adult coloring book.
Yes, anything. Truly, go to TJ Maxx for a while. Go shit your pants at a Barnes and Noble.
Well, thank you so much for being on the pod. We're about at an hour. Yeah. Tell people into the camera where they can find you. On the internet.
You can find me.
So they can block you.
Yes, you can block me on Instagram. I am the real Ari Monahan. Or you can come.
Are you on TikTok or Twitter or YouTube or anything like that? Nope.
Probably. Again, I'm terrible at the internet. I'm so bad at the internet.
And then spell your Instagram handle for anybody that's listening that's not watching.
It's The Real. So TheReal and then Ari Monahan, Monahan.
Cool. And then this podcast will come out in like a week or so, but I don't need to say that now. But you do shows all over LA.
I do.
You do shows at the Ice House too? Like you get up there?
Yeah. My own show is coming up there that I'm producing that I really need to get moving on June 30th.
Oh, nice. I'll submit a tape. No, I'm just
9:30.
kidding.
Yeah. June 30th, the Ice House, 9:30.
Awesome.
Buy tickets, please God. I need to sell it out.
Yes, go to the show. And you can find Room for Rent on, let's see, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, literally everywhere, TikTok at Room for Rent Pod. And then we are on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and SoundCloud. And you can find me at Maria Bruggere, MariaBruggere, on all the same things. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have any roommate questions, you can email us. It's in the description. If you've got things you want to talk about or stories that you want us to talk about on here, let me know. Spread the word. Share it with a friend. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.